Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Community. Today, we got Maria here again.
I'm very quickly approaching co-host status, am I not?
I don't know, you're going to have to give Ben a run for his money because people love the Ben episodes. I don't want to say they outperform your episodes, but the maths.
I would love for Ben to replace me as co-host.
Ben doesn't want it either. No one wants to be my co-host. I'm solo here, everybody.
We can't keep up with you.
Oh, it's okay. No one needs to. It's fine. But today what we're going to talk about is something that I get asked about all the time. We get asked about all the time in the Social Business Club. People are always wondering about funnels and about lead magnets. And email marketing has never been the thing that we've really focused on. We've never been we've used email marketing. We've actually been prioritizing that more this year, growing our email list quite a bit. But that's never been something that has been huge, we need to do it. And so, but we get a lot of questions about it, so we thought we'd talk about it.
Yeah. And I feel like it's something we've done a long time. Even in your previous business, we did it.
Yeah.
And I think we've always sort of known, even though, Instagram's had a pretty good track record with not going down too much and not vanishing off the face of the earth. But we know that we don't own our audience on Instagram or on these social platforms. And when you have people's emails, that's something you can take with you and that you always have.
You always have, but you won't have it in the grave. Something you can take with you.
On the other side, you're trying to access your laptop to get these emails.
Me.
That would be you.
I'm like, hey guys, got to keep it running down there. I got to keep it running down there.
Hey God, my laptop come with me?
I did. Well, I think it's really interesting because I think lead magnets and funnels are kind of intimidating terms for
totally
what they are, and I think probably used by marketers to scare people from doing it themselves. But I think if you're talking about lead magnets, often you would hear the term freebie. Maybe you have an opt-in, something that is a way for you to collect email addresses from your ideal clients. So that's huge. So I love that, and I love email marketing, and ways for opt-ins to become part of your business plan, because it is such a cool way for people to just get to know you in a little bit of a free capacity. I will say people are more apt to them than they have been in the past. Before, when we were first starting our online business, no one knew what they were, so everyone was opting into everything. People are a lot more I get what I want, I leave. People are getting kind of creative with the way they do them. And then when we're talking about funnels, what we're talking about is really that sales funnel. How does someone get from getting to know you, which is maybe a top of funnel activity, all the way to purchasing? And so that can start with an email opt-in, and maybe it's another opt-in that's a paid product, and maybe they join a Facebook group, or they listen to your podcast, or lots of different things that they can do. But what leads those people to buy from you? And it really matters whether you're a community builder, or you don't feel like you're a community builder, or you're if you have a service-based business, you should have some type of freebie way to collect email addresses, and that's a mistake we see so many people make.
Yeah, totally. So do you want to dive in a little bit for people who are maybe kind of newer to funnels and lead magnets, what a lead magnet actually is? Typically, it's some kind of digital. A lot of the times, it's a PDF. Some kind of resource that you've put together that you are giving somebody for free in exchange for their name and email. Is essentially what it is. So that's a lead magnet. Some people call it freebie. It's often at the top of what we would call a marketing funnel because it's free. Essentially, all they have to give is their email. And then essentially what they do is they opt into the freebie or lead magnet. They give you their email. You email them the freebie. Mm-hmm. It could be a quiz, it could be a PDF, a guide, a private podcast, a challenge. It could be so many things.
So many things.
The options are endless.
And we've tested a whole bunch of things with our audience, things that have worked, things that haven't worked. We just did a massive update. I didn't do anything. It was really Maria and Ben and our team that put it all together. But we just did a massive update of all of our freebies. But what's really important is that it's relevant and something people want. Mm-hmm. And we've seen people in the Social Business Club make this mistake where they'll make a freebie and it's a freebie for their competitors or something like that. And we're that person's not going to buy that, right? Or give you a name for that. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of your offers, right? You want to make sure your offers are clear and your freebie is a drop dead, this is something I need. I'm excited about it. Mm-hmm. Because it's not maybe you might have a sick newsletter or you're giving out really great tips, or maybe you're writing letter style things. There could be lots of options there. But I would say you want to make sure that it's something that aligns with your offer and is really clear. So a freebie, if you're a VA, you don't want a baking sheet. as your freebie. Like you want it to be something that's like 5 tools that every business owner needs, or like we've seen freebies that are kind of like they have affiliate links embedded in them, like different things like that, and offers. And then ultimately, ideally, you have an email sequence that goes with your freebie that gets them engaged in whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I also think it's super important that not only the content of the freebie, but the way it's delivered is in alignment with your ideal client.
Yeah.
Because I've seen people who are designing these lead magnets and they put so much thought and intention into it and so much work into it and they're like building it for so long, and then it's like this 70-page guide or journaling book or like whatever it is, and I'm like, who's your ideal client? And they're like super busy entrepreneurs with like maybe multiple businesses or like a full-time job and a side hustle, and they're building, and I'm like, does that person have time to read 80 pages of your ebook?
Yeah.
We both know the answer, right? So even though you want to give more value, sometimes more value doesn't mean longer or harder to consume. Or even with us, right? We talked about doing a lead magnet for some of our agency clients, and one of the ideas that was presented was doing like a master class. We're like, well, our ideal clients are actually really like high-level business owners who are like delegating a lot to their team and outsourcing a lot and not watching an hour-long masterclass probably, especially off an ad or something like that, right? And like for something like the Social Business Club, that makes a lot more sense. That's more aligned with that ideal client and what they spend their day doing. And maybe they're learning, maybe they're in that season where they're like, bootstrapping stuff. But like for our ideal client for the agency, them watching an hour-long video does not align with what their day-to-day looks like. So
100%.
Don't only think about what the content is, but also the delivery of that content and how that's going to sit with your ideal client.
Yeah, and I would also recommend too, like if you're gonna do a freebie that requires a lot of you, like if you're gonna like really like get after it, test it with people, check in with them. So we recently did this. We just did an awesome partnership with Interact, and not the debit machine, but they're an amazing company. They have a quiz platform, and so they'd reached out to us about a partnership. We were like kind of in the middle of that. And when we built our quiz, we had a quiz before that was kind of unsuccessful. Like we built it through Typeform. There's nothing, we love Typeform. But I would say like it didn't grow the way we wanted it to. It was confusing. It didn't email the results. Partially user error, I think. Like we didn't know how to make it work the way it did. And Interact's a lot smoother. It has a great Flowdesk integration. It's like really, really smooth. We love it. We actually sent it to a bunch of kind of our ideal clients, people who are in the Social Business Club, people we've done business with. We were like, what do you think about this? And that informed the use of it, what they thought was interesting, what they didn't think was interesting. And so that was really helpful for us to be able to be like, okay, like now we know that like people, like it's a really cool quiz. We'll link it. But like it was helpful for us to know that like, oh, people thought it was this, or they thought this was confusing, or a grammatical error there, like whatever it was. So don't be too like don't have too much ego not to be able to ask someone for a little bit of feedback, because often that makes a huge difference. The other thing too is that like if you want to think about a funnel or a lead magnet, we've also done other things as well, which is like like an Instagram audit template. We've done, we did we have a story freebie we love that teaches people like, how to show up in their stories. We have a LinkedIn package. All of these things have been different. But what you really want to do is you want to solve a small and specific problem, but you also don't want to make it custom. And that's something that I see sometimes people do is that like a lead magnet is they're like, I'll give you a 30-minute coaching call. I'm like, that's not a lead magnet. That's not a freebie, because that's your time, right? So even sometimes early on you have more time to do some stuff like that. That is not the season you and I are in, where we're like doing like almost anything for free for 30 minutes. So it's like really just thinking about like what is a simple problem that is like kind of like universal or really for your client, and what's specific enough that the freebie doesn't like maybe fully solve it. Like, our story starter guide doesn't like, fully solve people being able to show up in their stories, but it leads them to the Social Business Club, which is where we do really help people show up better.
And you also want to give enough value in your free offer that it makes people want more from you, right? Like whether that leads to, and we can get into like kind of what a funnel is and how this works, but whether that leads to like a low ticket offer or something else that you're positioning, you want them to get a lot from the freebie and actually like really value it and feel like good about it. So we did actually just revamp all our freebies. So go to thesocialsnippet.com, download every single one of them, and let us know what you think.
Every single one.
There are a ton now.
Yeah.
Thanks to Kristina.
I know, I'm a monster. I'm like, I had this great idea for a freebie, and then I send it to Ben and Maria will like the message, and then Ben makes the freebie by the end of the day. It's kind of this cute thing we've got going on. A monster. Well, okay, let's talk about funnels. And I think funnels have a really, really bad name.
Yeah.
'Cause
Brutal name.
They're broy. They're broy, right? Like, get in my funnel, like, top of funnel, funnel loop. Like, it's like crazy. And so we know when we talk about funnels, it's really just about the relationship you're building with your clients or your ideal clients or your future customers and like how you're getting them kind of from point A to B. A podcast is a perfect idea or example of a top of funnel activity, right? I'm not selling anything really here. Like, I'm not pushing anything too hard. You're getting to know us. That's why we love podcasting as one of our services, is because it helps people make choices, right? It's very intimate. They get to know you. We were talking about Chris and Lori on another podcast that we just recorded. And a big reason we did Fast Foundations 4 years ago was because I was listening to Chris's podcast and I was binge listening to it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I felt like I knew them, right? Like I was like, I need to be part of whatever this was, which was a great decision. And I loved it. And so that being said, funnels are this like amazing thing that like helps you get to know your audience. And so a funnel, an example could be like a freebie, and then you give them through maybe like an email sequence where you're giving them some, more value, you're getting to know them. And then maybe there's a low ticket offer, and then maybe your core service. So maybe, we might say, here's the social business club, and then here are agency services. And that might get people excited. But it's really not about like pushing people into stuff. It's just about guiding them and them knowing, because the other piece is that you never know, like someone might join your funnel and then they might not be the person who's actually looking, but then someone will ask, oh, hey, I'm looking for a social media manager. And they're like, oh, I just like got this great freebie from the social snippet. You should check them out, right? You never know who's watching.
Yeah. And I think another way to think about funnels is they're sort of like the customer journey. So the top of funnel stuff is like easy to access, a little bit more kind of like, I don't want to say family friendly, but like, like
family friendly. What's not family friendly we're doing?
This podcast maybe. Some episodes. The 4-year episode. I don't know. It's just like all encompassing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just like casts a wider net, I guess. And it's easy to access. That's kind of the vibe at the top. And then as they kind of like work their way through the journey or down the funnel or like however you want to say it, things get a little bit more, maybe they get more expensive. They, come with more intention. For us, like our sort of the end of the funnel is either like the social business club or our agency. Those things like involve our time a lot, and we pour a lot in there, and that's really like where we're showing up. So those bottom of funnel things are kind of like the things that you're really trying to sell. And top of funnel, I feel like could be so much. Could be podcasts, could be lead magnets, could even be like events.
Yeah.
It's a big one. Books. Would you put books at the top of a funnel?
Yeah, a book would be a top of funnel.
Down?
I would say anything you don't pay for. So I would say events, it would be like if you did like a free event or something like that. But like I would say High Vibe Women's like more of a bottom or like mid funnel. And then if we had, some of the things we're dreaming up for the future, that might be a higher ticket kind of thing. It would be like bottom funnel. But I would say like when we talk about books, so many people, and you guys need to meet, if you don't know, my friend Jake Kelfer from Big Idea to Bestseller. He's amazing. If you are looking to write a book, he is your man. People are always so happy working with him. But like people will write books and they'll give them for free away at events. And you're like, well, why would they do that? It's a top of funnel activity. You're going to read their book and you're going to be like, yeah, of course I'm going to buy that from them because they're an expert. Like I know more people with books than I don't know people with books, to be honest, like truthfully, but we are the exception, not the norm. Like the fact that we know so many people who are authors. Regular people don't know that many authors, right? Entrepreneurs just know tons of authors. And so remembering that, like, so if your ideal client's entrepreneurs, it might be less like impressive. But if your ideal client is like vet clinics and you're writing a book about how to be like a vet marketer or whatever for a clinic, you're going to look like the expert, right? So that's a top of funnel activity. So I think it's just thinking about like, how do you get in front of people and like really show up for them and give really high value. And then it leads farther down into them making a sale.
When you're actually thinking about creating your funnel, a really helpful place to start is actually the end. So like, where do you want people to end up? What is like the end goal? What is the whole purpose of the funnel? What's the end of the customer journey? What are you trying to get them to buy? And then kind of working your way backwards. And like we always say, get really clear on who they are, who the ideal client is, what their problems are, what they're interested in. All of our lead magnets, so all of our top of funnel activities come from people asking us questions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to post on stories. What should I do this? Should I do that? Blah, blah, blah. And once we get that question enough, then we design the, Instagram story starter guide. So actually we just renamed it. I can't remember the name, which is so annoying. Instagram story strategy kit. Yeah, I got the nod from Ben. Go download it on our new website.
You know what? I did check out our new website, and I'm so far removed on my mat leave that Maria was like, "Hi, we have a new website now," and like sent me the link, and I like looked through it. And she's like, "We'll take your feedback later," which I thought was so funny. But
The domain transfer process was a bit rough.
But I went and I looked at the freebies, and I saw a bunch of them were renamed, and I was like, "You leave for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, all your shit's renamed." I'm like, gonna get on my I'm gonna get on my email. You guys are gonna have like changed my name.
Well, this is actually a great point for the podcast because when Ben and I were talking about doing the renaming of these things, it was like, do people know what a story starter guide is?
Yeah.
I don't even know that I know what that is, and this is my company. So like, you have to not just name things to try and sound fancy or like sound like you know what you're doing or cool or whatever, but like the name also has to be understood by the ideal client. And it's kind of like when we talk about hooks, like they say hooks should be at like a 5th grade reading level, right? I don't know that you need to go to that level for lead magnets, but your ideal client needs to know exactly what they're getting from the lead magnet and what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, your ideal client's a few steps behind you. So just simplifying it so they can actually understand and it makes sense to them and appeals to them in that way too.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay, well, let's talk really quickly about some mistakes we've made in building, out our funnels and our lead magnet. So the first thing is like spending too long building complicated funnels. Like that is a huge mistake we see people make all the time, is that like, this is why even when we built out that quiz on Interact, we were like, "Hi, does this make sense to you? Like, would you like buy what you've already purchased from us from this? Like, does this work for you?" Because it was a more complicated funnel than we're used to. Usually our funnels are pretty direct. And so it doesn't need to be fancy for it to be a funnel. It doesn't need to have 100 steps. It doesn't need to have like a million zaps and integrations. We're only getting more creative now. It just has to be clear. And clear is kind when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. So many lessons.
So many lessons. The other thing too is forgetting to follow up or nurture our email list. The email list thing was, we know things. It's like to eat vegetables, you know what I mean? But you still like eat the Big Mac kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Mac girl. I like a junior chicken. But like it's really was interesting as we got started, and we did that a coaching program with Amanda Wilson Chiochi, and like one of our first coaching programs, and she was like, "You need a lead magnet. Like you need to start nurturing your email list." And we were like, "Yeah, we pay for Flowdesk every month, but like we don't really." And we love Flowdesk, by the way. If you're looking for an email marketing platform, we have a code for 50% off for your first year. But like we love Flowdesk. It's so easy, so simple to build great funnels. But like we were like, I don't know if people need it. And then we were like, we need to do this. Like this is the right thing for us to do. We preach this to everybody. We should do it. And then we just started to, kind of put some together. But then we do it, and then we never would like email any of these people ever, or like the email
never contact them in any way.
Or the email was just like kind of weak, like the sequence. So we have really cleared that up, and then we have our weekly snippet now where we send out a weekly email where we bring out like a bunch of trends and we tell people kind of what's going on social and what's kind of going on with us as well, which is awesome. And so really that was a huge mistake we made. It was like we were kind of like, "Oh, thank you for your email," and then like 2 years later we were like, "And now we email you."
And even when we had the freebie, it'd be like, okay, we just like send them an email that's like, "Here's your freebie," and then like that was the end of it. Like there was like nothing after that. Like even if they wanted to work with us after that, they probably wouldn't know how to get in touch with us. Like there was no, call to action, email sequence of any kind that like led them anywhere. It was just very much like, here are your free resources. Goodbye now.
Yeah, all the best.
That was fun.
The other thing is like misalignment between the lead magnet and the paid offer. So like we've talked about this already today, but like really just that like it has to make sense. Like
no baking sheets, guys.
Yeah, no baking sheets. But like just making it something that's very clear and makes a big difference to your ideal client. You want it to be packed with value. It doesn't, and like something people get worried about sometimes, and we've talked about this on the podcast, but like don't worry about providing too much value. Like don't be like, "Oh my gosh," but you also don't need it to make it like crazy. Like we're not making custom social media plans for people as a freebie, right? Like, our stuff's kind of general so that they can see like, they're high value, you get some information, but it's not really like meant to be like, "Oh, like now we're providing custom services for you for free or doing anything for free." So what I would say is just making sure that it is something that like that it is in alignment, but also makes sense and doesn't need to be too automated. Done's better than perfect.
Yeah, done is definitely better than perfect. I feel like this was a mistake we made with our first quiz where we kind of like created the whole thing in the dark and like perfected it and like set it up. And then once we put it live, it was like, very clear very soon that like it wasn't really resonating with people. They didn't really care about like the result of the quiz that we had like set out and put so much intention behind and put so much thought behind like which answers were going to match with which result. And it's like none of that actually mattered because people didn't care about the result of the idea we came up with, right? And even though the idea was in line with our offering and it made sense, it didn't actually solve a pain point of our ideal client.
Yeah.
So therefore they didn't see the value in actually even taking the quiz to get the result that they wanted. Whereas if we were, doing it a little more messy, building it in the light a little bit more, I think also doing more market research and listening more to our ideal clients on what their pain points actually were, which now we've done with our new quiz. And now people are excited to take it. They want to see the result, and the result makes so much more sense because we tie it into other resources we have, and it's actually really cool and fun, and people love doing it. So, but it actually probably took us like a quarter of the time to build because we had done so much market research on the front end. So I think it's listening to your ideal client, figuring out what their pain points are and designing something in response to that. And then also sort of getting it out there and like seeing what people think sooner rather than later, because you don't know how people are going to react to it until you try.
Totally. Yeah. And like, honestly, like, what's so interesting is that we have hundreds of blogs, over 100?
Over 100, yeah.
Over 100 blogs. Like, we never used to link them. We were like writing these blogs, and then people would be like, "Oh, I'm wondering about this." And we're like, "We have a blog on that." Like, and it was good for SEO and some of the other stuff that we were working on. We were monetizing it kind of like for a little bit there, and we do some affiliate marketing through that. But like, that was a resource that we had. And so it's like, don't be afraid to use your resources too, and like see what resonates with people. Like, what are the questions you're getting? What are people asking you about over and over again, and kind of build from that spot. So a few quick wins to fix or start your funnel, and then we'll wrap up. It's so Maria's talked about this already, which is building your funnel backwards. What's your end goal? Really asking yourself, like, what is the end goal? What's in mind? And then the other thing is using one platform to drive traffic, so you can start small. That is something that I think people make such a big mistake with, is that they're constantly like, I need to be everywhere. I need to be like posting everywhere. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing that. You don't. Really, like, even for me, and I know you're actually on less platforms than I am, but like, I do Instagram, I do LinkedIn, I do Threads, and like, I don't even like, the team does like a lot of like the stuff that I'm, especially in this season, like I'm on mat leave, but the team does a lot of the stuff, right? So we outsource our own social to our team. So just a reminder, it doesn't have to be everywhere, just somewhere that you can build some community. The other stuff is, don't ignore your email list. If you can do a weekly email, that's awesome. That was hard for us even at the beginning. Like, we were like, what do we say to these people every week? And now Ben does our weekly email. He does a fabulous job. I love our weekly email now. But like, we have so much content. Like, imagine we have over 100 blogs and we didn't know what to put in an email.
It does sound kind of crazy.
Right?
You're like, what do I tell these people? And it's like, oh, we actually have so much knowledge to share, but because we're so in the weeds on it, or it comes naturally to us, it doesn't like occur to us to share. So I think either getting someone on your team that has that more outside opinion, or a friend, or, a little entrepreneurial bestie, to vet that through can be really helpful. But also like start monthly, go to bi-weekly, as long as you're kind of like getting in contact with these people in some degree and giving them some value, I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, 100% agree. And then we talked about this, but testing your lead magnet titles with your audience. So just making sure that like it resonates with them. But honestly, I think the best thing you can do is look at other people's lead magnets. Come over, check out our lead magnets. Maria and the team did such a good job with them.
Thanks. Let us know what you think of the new names.
And then also check out our blog on creating aligned lead magnets. And that's honestly like, can't tell you enough. Use resources out there to make your first one. Our first one was messy. Like, even the first ones we did for our other business, like messy. And so it's like just about testing things over and over again. And then, of course, you can join us at the Social Business Club at thesocialbusinessclub.ca. You can use the code podcast for your first month for $1. We love coaching in there.
We actually talk a lot about funnels in there. For it being a club about social media.
We were just talking about this. We're like, does Online Business Club have the same ring? And I say no, because Online Business Snippet didn't either.
It's tough out here.
Yeah, it's tough out here naming things. Please, no one trademark podcast snippet. But yeah, come join us at the Social Business Club. We talk about your funnels all the time at our coaching calls. We go through people's funnels. It's so fun. But we want to hear like what resonated with you. Of course, come check out our funnels, give us some feedback, and let us know what you're going to try. But also, we want to hear what you want to try as your next lead magnet. And I love lead magnets. I love seeing what people come up with.
I know. It can be fun. It can be fun.
Can be fun. And I can't wait to see what we do next as our next lead magnet.
Oh, man. That webpage is getting a little crowded, girl.
Okay, so I'm on hiatus. Okay.
You're cut off pretty soon.
Okay.
But we have lots for you guys to go check out.
Okay, fine. Don't worry. There will be another lead magnet, I'm sure of it.
There's minimum 5 right now.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Is my private podcast dead? I think it's dead. Okay. R.I.P. Well, guys, my private podcast is dead before it even started. Let us know what you're trying. And yeah, keep on building your community. Can't wait to see what you try. Wee.